I hope everyone's had a fabulous summer. I know I have. I'm Dr. Sandy Chapnick, and this is the new season of You and Your Health. So at some point, if you watch my show on any kind of a regular basis, you know at the beginning of this past year, I had another hypnotist on the show, and I thought he was actually very interesting. But over the course of the last couple of months, I ran into this guy that I have on the show tonight, and he came up with such an interesting idea of something that he does through his centers as in hypnosis that I'd never heard of anything before, and it was so intriguing to me that I thought I had to bring it to you. So what I want to do is I want to introduce our new guest, or our guest for this coming month, and then we're going to get into the interview, and I think you're going to be just as intrigued about this as I am. My guest is Don Glass, and he has founded Just Imagine Hypnosis Centers, and he did so in 2010. He is a consulting hypnotist certified with the National Guild of Hypnotists, and is a certified, and this is what's going to be talked about on the show, he's certified in bariatric surgery support hypnotist. Don has been practicing hypnosis for self-development for over 30 years. Just Imagine Hypnosis Centers specialize in helping clients with weight loss, smoking cessation, and depression by leaving their non-productive emotions, habits, feelings behind using the latest techniques in hypnotherapy. Prior to Just Imagine Centers, Don operated a CRM software and consulting company, helping clients develop better customer relations. Now, Just Imagine Hypnosis Centers help people have better relationships with their potential. Don's mission is to help as many people as possible achieve their dreams and live to their potential, kind of our mission at Bill Ricker Chiropractic, but that's as a side note. Don is a father of 3, grandfather of 3, and stop it, great-grandfather of 2?
That's right.
You must have started when you were 12. Don is an avid cyclist, hiker, and cook. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sandy. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and share with you.
Well, so bariatric surgery, as we're going to find, has to do with weight loss through changing the stomach. But before we even get into that, weight loss is rampant, or at least people's wanting to do weight loss is rampant. And there are vitamins, there's shakes, there's potions, there's lotions, there's all sorts of things. Can you comment on what's going on with that industry and maybe why you have a better answer?
There certainly is an awful lot of activity in the diet industry. In fact, it's estimated that there's over $70 billion going on in that industry.
And that's billion with a B.
That's billion with a B. That's an incredible amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the sad part is that of all the people that are spending that kind of money, only 5% of that 70 billion, only 5% will have achieved their weight management and body shape goals. 95% may lose weight and they'll put it back within a year. And that's according to the National Institute of Health.
That's such a poor percentage.
Yes, it is.
And that's why it's 70 billion with a B.
That's right.
Because they keep going back for more. So now, and over the course of, I don't even know how long ago it really started, we started seeing bariatric or gastric bypass surgeries. Why has that become so popular? I know why I think, but why do you think?
Well, I think Americans as a whole want to live the good life. They want to be able to take advantage of everything that's out there. They want to be able to go out and live and be there for themselves. They want to have big meals. They want to have big friends. They want to just enjoy everything. And there's a mentality driven by the diet industry that says, it doesn't matter what you do. We can help you.
So you can try and eat yourself silly. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of surgically.
The advertising and the marketing in that industry is just unbelievable. It's amazing if you look at the infomercials, if you walk through the stores and see the products brimming on the shelf. It is silly from a professional point of view. But people say, I'm going to go out and eat, and I'm going to drink, and I'm going to have a good time because I know I can get a box of this or stay up on that info commercial and learn, and I can get better, and I can have those flat abs and the tight buns. I think it's sinful, but that's the way our world is working.
Well, we all want things as easy as possible with the least amount of effort.
And that's it. And, you know, it's easy for us to believe that these products are going to work, and we keep eating and we keep having a good time. And then the problem occurs when it's time to get ready to get into a new bathing suit, or to go to that affair, and we want to look really, really nice for our relatives and everything else, to go to that wedding. And we get on that diet plan, or we get on that exerciser,
Right.
and lo and behold, we're good for 2 days, 2 weeks, and we struggle and we struggle and we struggle,
Right.
and it doesn't work. And what happens is that they call this yo-yo dieting. We try one, we lose some weight, we stop, we try it again. Now, when I first heard the word yo-yo dieting, I thought that was a fun word.
Right.
I thought that sounded like,
Well, yo-yo is fun, but when dieting is concerned, no, not so much.
Exactly. And when I started doing the research on it, the medical profession saying that this yo-yo dieting isn't just fun, it's a major stress on your organs.
Yes.
And your body is built to renew itself. And as you try these different routines of either exercise or diet or some other combination, you're stressing yourself. And that's why as people get older and heavier, they become more susceptible to the various diseases like diabetes,
Right.
like sleep apnea.
Right.
These are major issues.
So I know there are, before we get into what you do, let's again talk a little bit more about the whole bariatric surgery process. And I know there are different kinds. Do you want to just share a little bit about what different kinds of surgery is available?
Sure.
And it is surgery.
It is surgery.
Major surgery.
It is major surgery. There's actually about 6 or 7 or 8 surgeries, but they actually just break down into 2 distinct groups. One is called absorbent. And that means that your plumbing is restructured so that the food that goes through you is not absorbed as it would be in your natural state.
Oh, from a health perspective, that's just awful.
It is
Because
awful.
then your body doesn't get the nutrients it needs.
But
so let's cross that one off.
Well, it's feeding a whole pharmaceutical industry.
I'm sure it is.
You know, when you get that kind of surgery and you read what you're supposed to do, you're not allowed to have ice cream. You're not allowed to have dessert. You're not allowed to have sugar. And by the way, you must have protein first. Oh, and you can't have water with your meal because some nasty things happen.
Jeez.
So this...
But yet people still will do this.
People are going and doing this to the rate of about 40 to 50,000 per year. And that's 5-year-old numbers. It's unbelievable. I think the reason that many of these people do it is they see the movie stars. And the movie stars can afford this very expensive and very dangerous surgery. And they'll get it, and publicity will go, gee, they lost 100 pounds, they lost 200 pounds, don't they look wonderful? And that's what people see.
Right.
What they don't see is, or what they don't tie together with it is, that a year later, their back ballooned up that 200 more pounds again.
And I can tell you from my experience, because I've had a number of patients go through that surgery, and I can tell you without a doubt that the lion's share of them work really, really hard to put that weight back on. And most of them, I find, do. So now you've had this surgical procedure to make your stomach smaller or do awful things, and then a year, 2, 3 years later, you're back to where you started. It makes no sense.
We just recently did a show, and I had a woman come up to me, and she said, you know, I just had this surgery 4 months ago, and it's not working. Now imagine that. Under the knife, surgically adjusted, and she comes back and says it's not working. I'm only losing weight about a pound a month, pound or two every month, and that's just not what I signed up for. So
Right.
it's quite scary.
Quite scary.
The second type of surgery is called restrictive surgery, and with restrictive surgery, they're restricting the amount of food that goes into your stomach.
They're literally making the stomach smaller. Is that the one we're talking about?
They're making the stomach appear smaller. They do that in a couple of different ways. One is that surgically they'll take your stomach and they'll staple it so that only a certain amount of it sees the food that goes in. And that's kind of dangerous.
Well, it's dangerous. Plus, also, my understanding is that they can only eat a small fraction of what they normally would eat.
That's right.
You know, they'll order a hamburger, lose the bun, and cut out maybe a quarter to a half of that hamburger, and that's their meal.
Yep.
To me, that's not particularly living.
No, that's not living at all. And the second type of restrictive procedure is done with a band, and this is the one that is reversible. All these other procedures where they'll change your plumbing are not reversible. But with the band, imagine, if you will, a band that slips around your stomach, just like it might slip around your arm.
Okay.
And it squeezes it tight, and it only allows a certain amount of food to go in there. And once you feel that your stomach is full, you're supposed to stop eating.
Okay.
Now that band is adjustable.
Okay.
They have a port. It's a laparoscopic procedure. That is, it's not major surgery. They poke about 5 holes in you and manipulate it to do that.
Still surgery, though, right?
It is still surgery. You still have drugs. You still have anesthesia. You still have recovery. You still have time out of work. You still have the inconvenience. And when you get all done with that, you're on a new diet, and everything you loved before is
Gone.
The laparoscopic, what's called lap band surgery, has become very, very popular. Insurance companies, however, regardless of which surgery you want, are still very hesitant on making approvals. In fact, there's a whole procedure in being able to qualify for this surgery.
Does it have to do whether you're obese or morbidly obese, or is that how that works?
Yes,
that you
it
have to
is.
meet those kind of criteria?
You do. There's a lot of charts available on the internet that'll talk about obese, morbidly obese, and overweight. If you're overweight, it means you have a BMI of somewhere between 25 and 30. Now, BMI as a term stands for body mass index, and it's a fancy way of saying you have more fat on you, and that's how that's measured.
Right.
When you go, so between 25 and 30 is overweight. When you go over 30, you're considered obese. And when you're obese, that starts to raise your risk of health complications, diabetes, sleep apnea, and so forth. So when you get obese, you start to get into that cycle. You get into that dieting cycle where you try to diet, bring it down, and then you come back up again, and down and up again. Now, morbidly obese is when you have a BMI that's above 40, or you're 100 pounds over your normal weight.
Okay.
When you're morbidly obese, it starts to make sense to consider going under the knife because the health complications are that serious. So when you see this person that is exceptionally large, they have medical issues, undoubtedly.
Of course they do.
And it really becomes a trade-off to have major surgery and lose that weight or die.
But I know in talking to you that you have a better answer.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
So I want you to explain how your procedure works to give the same or similar effects of surgery just through hypnosis.
It's really quite amazing. Hypnosis has been around for time immemorial, from the caveman.
And it works.
And it works. And it's a funny thing. You ask a medical doctor about hypnosis and they say, you know, there's no data. There's no scientific data that proves it. But you ask an organization like a Mayo Clinic and it says, well, we don't care about data. It's evidence-based.
That's right. It works.
It works.
Right.
You know, you don't have to show me in your terms, but it works. The story with hypnosis is that you have a mind, and it consists of three parts. You have a subconscious mind, you have an unconscious mind, and you have the conscious mind.
Okay.
Now, the conscious mind is what you're listening to me now.
It's how we're functioning right now.
It's how we function now.
Go ahead.
Our unconscious mind is what's operating our body. It's making our heart beat. It's making the adrenaline pump. It's what's monitoring our immune system, and we don't talk about it much.
Well, as a chiropractor, I do, but go ahead.
Where the real issues are with the subconscious mind.
Go ahead.
And the subconscious mind is the only mind that we had when we were little kids growing up, and we learned about different things. For example, you're sitting at the dinner table and mom says, you have to finish everything on your plate. Well, you know, being a little kid and looking up to adults, that becomes a behavior that you want to do. And it becomes what we in hypnosis call an imprint. So we have this idea that we want to, that we always want to finish our plate. And of course the restaurant industry wants you to be happy and everything, so they give you these large plates.
That's right.
And we all get big. Well, in hypnosis, we're able to access that subconscious mind where that belief is.
Right.
And we're able to change that. It's interesting about the subconscious mind when you're in a hypnotic state, sort of like a dream.
Right.
If you've had a daydream, or if you've even slept at night and you have this very, very vivid dream, it's there and you're feeling everything and you're running and you're playing and you're laughing. You're in that moment right there.
Right.
The subconscious mind can't tell the difference between what's imagined and what's real.
I know that for a fact.
So with hypnosis, we're able to guide the client to that particular spot. Allow them to believe, allow their subconscious mind to believe that they've had an operation and that operation has shrunk the size of their stomach. They know in their mind knows their stomach is now the size of a golf ball.
Right.
Their conscious mind, I went to the hypnotist.
Right.
Subconscious mind wins. You know how I know?
Go ahead.
I have clients that go home and they call me the next day and they say, why is my stomach hurting? They will say, I have yet to have one with bruise marks,
Okay.
but they will say my stomach hurts. But the real proof of the pudding is when they go to eat, they can only take a few bites. And those few bites fill them up. And we train them to be able to recognize that full signal and stop eating. And when they recognize that full signal and the other tools that we give them, the energy that they need comes from their fat stores.
Right.
So we've had clients that have gone through this process, and on the very first week, they will lose between 5 and 9 pounds.
Did you say in the first week?
In the very first week, they'll lose 5 to 9 pounds. Now, here's the interesting thing.
That's unbelievable.
Here's the real interesting thing.
Go ahead.
The second, third, fourth, oomph week,
Right.
they'll lose between 1 and 3. Now, what's really interesting about this is no one has ever said to them, oh, you have to change your diet. This is not a diet.
No.
This is simply a lifestyle choice, a change. They listen to their stomachs, they eat less, they drink water, and they find that in just a couple of weeks, they start to change their food choices. That big chocolate cake that they used to get just to sit in front of the TV no longer has appeal. They now start to do fruits and vegetables. It's amazing, the transition.
So tell me about, so it's sounding like your success rate is pretty good in comparison to any kind of the really destructive gastric bypass surgeries.
We have 2 programs. One program was originally started in England, and that's called our virtual gastric band procedure. And the success rates in the trials that have been run over there have run between 90 and 96%. Now, by that I mean
90 to 96% success rate.
Success rate.
And how do they define success?
People lose weight on a consistent basis.
And how about long term?
They're in that area. They're in that 90% area. Now, I need to point out that with hypnosis, and when someone is using hypnosis, we're also able to address the issues that drive those imprints that are driving their need to eat more.
Okay.
So that imprint of, Johnny, you have to eat everything on your plate, we're able to make that less of an impact. So it's really quite amazing. Now, we have a second program, and this second program is focused on the pre-surgical patient. You know, to do surgery, the insurance company says, and the surgeon says, you're 300 pounds. You have to lose between 5 and 10% of that weight so I can operate with you.
Right, they make you go through some weight loss even before the surgery.
You must prove to the insurance company and to the surgeon that you've been trying to lose weight and you haven't been able to do it, and you just need to do it so they can operate, or they can't operate. There's no room in there. So we help the pre-surgical patient. We tend to see a lot of post-surgical patients, people that have had the surgery. And as a result of that, they're okay for a little while, but like our other model before, they start to gain the weight back. Because it's just too restrictive in the food that they have to have and the things that they have to do to maintain a life.
So you're working with doctors and surgeons pre and post surgically?
Yes, we are.
Now, does it ever happen that you're working with someone pre-surgically and they're doing so well with your virtual band that they never actually need the surgery?
We see that as a possibility. It hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
But we certainly see it as a possibility. I have a number of patients, or excuse me, I have a number of clients that have planned the surgery and come to me before the doctor. We work with the doctor as part of the medical team, as part of the surgery, and the dietitian and all those other components that make up the team. But we see patients and they come in, we see clients and they come in, and they're just starting to lose weight and they're getting a whole new lifestyle, and it's amazing to see them. I mean, people go from being diabetic to not being diabetic.
Or needing Lipitor and anti-cholesterol drugs to not needing them.
Exactly. And the sheen on their face, the way that they look, everything about them starts to speak health, and they start to feel it. And they're setting examples for their family. You know, if you look at all the different people that you see that tend to be obese, you see them in family units. So it's real important that mom or dad take the initiative, get the virtual surgery, or get something that will really work for them to set the example for the kids as to what life should really be like.
So while insurance companies will pay thousands upon thousands of dollars for the surgery procedure, my assumption is they're not paying for the virtual, or do they?
No, they don't. It's
Would be wonderful, wouldn't it?
It absolutely
and it would save them a whole lot of money and a whole lot of aftercare.
You know, the surgery costs between $20,000 and $35,000.
That much?
That much.
I didn't even realize it was that much.
It's terribly expensive. Plus, you have to go on a diet. I mean, it's new food, it's supplements, and so forth. Our procedures run anywhere from $800 up through $2,300. Those are
So a little bit of a cost savings.
quite a bit. But more importantly, the surgeon, who's done a wonderful job on changing the client's plumbing, making things better so that they'll work for them, has done a wonderful job there. But what they haven't done is they haven't changed the client's mind. And that's where hypnosis helps.
Would that be the biggest difference between the surgical procedure and the virtual procedure? Would that be the greatest difference?
That would be the greatest difference. The surgical procedure offers a few minutes of I shouldn't say a few minutes, a few meetings per month to talk with a social worker or a psychologist, but it never really gets to the root of it. The purpose of those meetings is to make sure that they're doing them for the right purpose.
Right.
But it doesn't clear up the issues.
Are there any other major differences between the virtual and the true surgery, or is that you? I mean, what it sounds like the big thing is a lifestyle change.
It's easily a change, but it's a non-intrusive lifestyle change. In other words, you don't have to start getting up early or going to bed late or exercising. You continue with your life, and you become comfortable with yourself and with the foods that you've had before.
Got it.
And you just go on, and you do have a lifestyle change that happens naturally.
We don't have much time left, but really less than a minute. But is there? I haven't heard of this before. Are there other people doing this, or because I've never heard of this?
Yes, this started about 5 years ago in Spain, moved to England, and about 3 years ago we started it here in the States. And it's
only been around 3 years here in the States.
Yeah, but it's been doing for about 7 years.
Okay, so here it is. We're now here in Billerica on BATV, on the cutting edge, so to speak, of true weight loss without surgery. I can't imagine someone who is really struggling with weight at least not looking at this. It makes complete sense. It's for your health. It's for you. It's for your family. I would urge you to give them a call. I look forward to talking to you again next month. Between now and then, be well.